The Judiciary, Uganda.
It's not only important for the judiciary to organize a memorial. It is actually long overdue. It's something which we should have done for the past 40 or so years. It should have been done from the moment he was believed dead. Now it's important because the event which is in our collective memory and which we are giving attention to has no equal anywhere else in the region. I don't know if the rest of the world can cite more than just a couple of similar incidents where the Chief Justice of the land, the head of one of the three arms of government, is forcibly, crudely, and blatantly in open daylight, bright day, dragged out of his official chambers and is never seen again. There was no pretense about it. The manner of his abduction, the timing was clear that only the worst could be expected from his abduction. It is important because this was the first Ugandan national to be a Chief Justice of our country. He had had a checkered history. He had been in politics. He had been in private practice. He had been a detainee. And the very person who had released him from detention was the one who would eventually execute him. It is important because in giving honor to one of our very own, we're making a clear statement that at the end of the day, it is justice and the rule of law that triumphs. Benedicto Kawanoko was taken. We have not seen him again. There are many other incidents, including the notorious Black Mamba incident. At the end of the day, the quest for and the prevalence of the rule of law and justice can never be defeated. It can be retarded, it can be delayed, but at the end of the day, it can never be defeated, it triumphs. And the world over, as students of history, there is no injustice that has been there forever. At the end of the day, justice and the rule of law prevails. When Benedicto Kawanoko was taken from his chambers, I was in upper primary. Again, this says a lot about the triumph of justice. That a child who was in upper primary sits today to chair the judiciary's first action in memory of Benedicto Kawanoko, the inaugural lecture in his memory. Of course, as a judiciary, it would be difficult for us to institute an investigation into the demise and sudden death of the departed Chief Justice. I can't recall, I don't know whether any meaningful inquiry was ever made. Something which you can say is credible, something which you can say its conclusion can be taken. I can't say that, any meaningful inquiry. Of course, the Commission of Inquiry into our politics from independence to 1986, among the thousands of items it looked into was this one. But again, with the passage of time, you tend to get the type of evidence which you don't want to speak authoritatively about. What is certain is Benedicto Kewanoka cannot be alive. That is really certain. We don't need to have seen the corpse. Knowing the government of Idi Amin, knowing what was happening at the time, he cannot be hiding somewhere. They could not have kept him somewhere all these years. So to my mind and to the mind of practically everybody, he's long since dead. And he died at the hands of those who abducted him from the chambers. But there are other people, fortunately, again, and this is why justice triumphs. There are people who were players at the time in different capacities. I believe they'll give us some information which may help us to determine for certain that it was the government of Idi Amin and nobody else that abducted the Chief Justice of the time, and he has never been seen again. True, he was detained in Luzira prison under the notorious Detention Without Trial Act of the first Obote government. But all that is dwarfed by his contribution as head of the judiciary. He certainly stood up and confronted the government of the day, directly and indirectly. There are records of his going to the prison and releasing those who were not supposed to be there, or those who had spent undue time and needed to be freed. It required some guts. One thing that can be said about him, he was not made of straw. He was certainly an iron man. And the fact, if what other people are saying is true, and there is no reason why anybody would want to concoct that his abduction was not a surprise to him, if that is true, I don't want to speak for, because I believe those people will be part of the team that will give narrative as witnesses to the event, that he was aware, he prepared for it, he could have fled. Many people fled the regime of Idi Amin in the 1970s. He could have fled, he could have got lost in Buganda here, and there are thousands and thousands and millions who would have kept him safe until he would have crossed into the neighboring countries for safety. We as the judiciary, we begin from the point of an apology. We've owed it to Benedicto Kewanoka, we've owed it to the rule of law, we've owed it to the integrity of the judiciary, long time to have organized this as the judiciary. Of course, I'm aware the Ugandan Law Society had a one-off lecture in honor of Benedicto Kewanoka. But this is different. This is the beginning. That's why we call it inaugural. We're inaugurating a lecture that should be, and hopefully, even those who will come after us, who are in the top administration of the judiciary, this is an honor which should be permanent for as long as there is a judiciary in Uganda.